Hey guys, it's Lemix, and today we're going to be doing a how to DPS like a pro in speedruns, but the principles we talk about in this video can be applied to other DPS situations as well. Now, what is a speedrun, you ask? Oh, I love the question. Now, speedrun is when you make an ult and you're trying to do dungeons as fast as possible so you can level as fast as possible. Now, with the pleasantries out of the way, first of all, starting with the gear, you can have heirloom gear as much as you can, if you can, but you don't really need it, but it helps obviously. And you're also going to have elemental force, the enchant on your weapon, if you can. Again, you don't need it, but it's going to help because it's just extra damage. So what you're seeing me do on screen right now is I'm an enhanced chamois, but you're seeing me initiate the fights and be the tank. That's because I know that it's only one elite and the other two are non-elite, so I know I can take the damage, especially at this early level, and not take fatal damage, as long as the healer heals me, but he doesn't even have to because this stuff at low level is really weak. So one thing I talked about in my healing video was make sure you get talents that will allow you to move fast, so your movement speed talents, like a blink, a dash, whatever, because if you weren't in a pug, or if you're in a pug with a fast tank, the tank is going to use his movement speed things to try to go through the run as fast as possible. So if you don't have your movement speed thing to keep up with him, your DPS is going to be delayed and the run is going to go slower than it could. So always try to take your movement speed thing. So we're just clearing some trash, and then here's the boss. So I usually just like to clear the trash because they have low HP, just get them out of the way so they don't do extra damage to the tank. And then you just DPS the boss's ass, and that's going to be sweet. One thing in this dungeon in particular is that altar just behind the boss. Make sure you use that because it gives stats, so you're more stronger and you can clear the place a little bit faster. Now, some things that are just universally relevant for DPS is you should always usually aim for casters first. This is usually true in PvP as well, like you'll aim for the healer first. So try to aim for the mobs with mana first, because usually they do the most messed up abilities, like they will slow your tank, or they will make your warlock cast slower, or they will fear all of you, or something like that. And also try to stay on interrupts, so interrupt all the abilities you can, just so then your tank doesn't get snared or something happens that will like slow you guys down a bit. So just interrupt as much as you can. As you can see, I just wind sheared that caster. Water jet, I don't even know what the hell that does, probably does nothing, but you just interrupt his ass and then you're going to be sweet. This tentacle crap, we probably didn't have to kill it because I don't think a tentacle can chase you, but whatever, we just killed it, you know. Sometimes you gotta respect the tank. If the tank attacks a tentacle, you attack a tentacle, even though it's a speed run, because he might not know this, you know. So like, you just go along with it. You gotta make the tank feel like they know what they're doing, you know. So sometimes, yeah, you just have to do what the tank wants to do. So yeah, we're just clearing stuff, and notice how I run away from a mob when it has like a little bit of health left. That's because I know that everyone else is DPSing it, so I can move off a bit earlier to go DPS the next thing, so the DPS is a bit faster than if I stayed there for the absolute last HP of that mob to finish it off. So yeah, another weapon in the DPS's arsenal is the CC. So for instance, if your tank pulls a bunch of like 8 mobs and you want to help him out, you want to help him take less damage, and you want to help the healer not have to heal as much, you can use like an AoE stun, or you could do a single stun, whatever you have. Like, just use some CC to alleviate the pressure, to reduce the pressure on your tank and on your healer. So that's going to help a lot. So always look out for the opportunities to do that. Oh, and on that note, if for ever some reason the tank isn't there, or you think you can push ahead, when you fight anything, just use your CC on them so you can kill them before they get to do much damage on you. That way you kind of are as tanky as a tank just because you CC'd the target. Anyway, so now I'm going to swap to my boomkin to try to explain some ranged DPS mechanics during the speedrun era of today. Okay, so we have our talents, we have our gear, we have our elemental force, and I took a specific talent though, and this is important for ranged DPS, is try to take any talent you have that can let you do instant burst damage. So like with boomkin, I took something, I think it's called Warrior of Elune or something like that, where it lets me do 2 instant lunar strikes, which otherwise would be like a 2.5 second. Look how slow that cast is. So it lets me do 2 of those every 45 seconds. That's because melee DPS, and especially a melee DPS with heirloom gear, they kill things way too fast for a ranged person to do any damage. Because a ranged person, for example, if you use Solar Wrath, I'll have to cast it, so that's all that time not doing damage. Then the projectile has to fly to the mob, so still you haven't done any damage. Before the ability even reaches the mob, the melee DPS could have killed it, like could have killed the mob, because the melee have constant damage and it's all burst damage, so they can fully kill a mob before you even get to do any damage as a ranged. Even if you're a warlock and you're putting dots, sometimes your dots don't even have time to do their damage, like they get no value, so it's really difficult for ranged DPS. So you've really got to talent wisely. Hopefully your class and spec has an option to do some like instant damage or something like that. So that's the main, I'd say that's the main difference between melee and ranged that you've got to understand and make sure you plan for. And yeah, so yeah, be aware of that and try to be smart with your abilities and your cooldowns and try get as much damage in before the melee just destroy the crap out of the mob. Some general tips I can give is, if you're a caster like a boomkin, you have a choice of getting some, you have some heals, so if the heals are lacking a bit, you can help the healer with the heals, because even though you're going to lose out on some DPS, what's better, losing out on some DPS or wiping and then the whole run taking longer to do? So you can fill in with the heals, but also a DPS like a warrior or whatever, or even a druid, because they can go bear form and they have a taunt. Get ready to fill in for the tank. If the tank dies all of a sudden, or if he's about to die, you can like taunt off him or something. So if you don't have your CC available, you can taunt. So just think of all this. So the DPS are also like on standby to either fill in for the healer or tank or both. So that's another thing. And the second last piece of advice is use your abilities wisely. So if you're a feral druid and you have 5 combo points, don't put 5 combo points into a monster that has like 100 HP left. Like, you use your abilities and cooldowns wisely to maximize your damage and make the run go as fast as possible. And the last thing, we talked about CC, but sometimes none of you have CC left, or your teammates don't use their CC or whatever. So the thing you can do as DPS is single target one of the mobs and take him down as soon as possible, because as soon as one monster dies, that's less damage coming onto the tank, so the healer can finally keep him up. So at the end of the run, we are gonna say thank you for the run to everyone, even if they are people that ruined your lives and made you have a miserable experience. Yeah, I don't know, I just like to say it no matter what. So that's it, guys. I hope you took something away from this video. Let me know if there's anything I missed out, if there's any tips you guys can give. I'd love to hear them in the comments. And if you have any feedback on the videos I've made, like, are they good, are they bad, how can I improve? Like, I'd love any feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you sometime in some galaxy eating some kind of moon cheese.